What's going on, guys? So today I wanted to take a few minutes and just talk real quick about my three biggest tips for BLC. This is going to be really quick because BLC overall is a very simple school, very easy to pass. There's no reason anybody should ever get dropped from BLC, honestly. I just think that there's a few things about it that can be more difficult for some people than for others, depending on your MOS or your civilian education background. And so that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. Overall, there's no reason that anybody should fail. So really, you don't need to watch this video if you're trying to get ready for BLC. But if you're trying to do well in BLC, maybe get like superior academic honors or whatever, which is top 40% in the class, or to get a, what is it called, the commandant's list, the top 20% in the class, or if you're really high achiever or whatever, you want to try and be honor graduate or distinguished honor graduate, then the things that I tell you in this video might help you out. So yeah, so we'll hop right into it. So tip number one, be prepared to write a lot of essays. This is really the biggest tip, so I'm just going to give you the biggest thing right up front. Be prepared to write a lot of essays and be very attention to detail oriented when you go into this course, because the Army's writing style is a hybrid of like 3 other college writing styles, like APA format, and then there's 2 other ones that are like the Army exclusive that they mix in with APA. And so really look at your rubrics. Like for each assignment that you get, you can click in through a bunch of links and find exactly the grading criteria that they're going off of, and just follow that to a T, and you should have no real issues. It's when you stray away from that rubric and you give what you think is like a quality essay, then you find out that you actually didn't follow the rubric very well, and it's really typically really tedious stuff. So I would say really follow the rubric really well and just be prepared to write a lot of essays. I think like starting out on my computer screen, it was just like their basic set of icons, and then almost my entire screen was filled up with all the different essays and stuff that I had to write. Now, a lot of these things are going to differ from location to location. So I went through the National Guard to Camp Ashland in Nebraska. It was really cold, but it was a great experience overall because we were allowed to leave post every night. We were given a pass until 10 p.m. We're typically out of class at 4 or 5 at the latest. And then we were allowed to have 2 beers a night. So luckily we had a bunch of guys from Riley that drove up there. So we had a bunch of people with cars, and we were able to go out to eat and all that. So just be prepared to write a lot of essays. I can't remember where I was going with that, but just be prepared to write a lot of essays, and be prepared to do some public speaking and learning a lot of basic fundamentals of being a non-commissioned officer, and giving classes and running PT and running a squad drill or whatever, marching people around and inspecting them and stuff, because that's really the only outside stuff that you do. So especially if you're a combat arms guy like myself, that rubric is going to help you to do well, rather than either failing some stuff for no reason or just not getting as good of a grade as you were hoping to get. So yeah, pay attention to the rubric. That's the big one. Number 2, I would say if you are a combat arms guy, don't expect any like physical difficulty, because you have like a basic PT test, and then there is no more tactical stuff at all. There's no land nav, there's no field training, there's no field exercise, there's none of that stuff anymore. Like the only times that we were ever outside was to do our squad drill and to do PRT sessions, and that was it. That was absolutely it. So we did a lot of stuff over the new the Army, the ACFT, and that was good, but really there's no outdoors time at all. So tone down your expectations. Be aware that you're going to be surrounded by a lot of non-combat people, especially you infantry dudes. Be prepared to be surrounded by a lot of non-infantry people. I think in my class there's like less than 10 of us out of like 200 people. Since we're right next to Riley though, there was a ton of Cav guys, so prepare yourself. But like tone down the ego too. Typically walking around post as an infantry dude, you have like a sense of pride and a sense that you're better than everybody, but you're about to be surrounded by a group of people that are probably not going to be in your same MOS. We were surrounded by people from all over the country, all different MOSs, and I kind of liked that. I kind of liked getting that kind of exposure. But just humble yourself, don't go in telling everybody that they suck because you're not infantry or whatever. You do have peer evaluations throughout the course. I don't think you can actually get dropped for it, but that does play into your grade. So just be a team player and try to have a good time out of it, because BLC is what you make it. That's for sure. It's long and tedious. They could probably fit everything into like a week and a half, but it's 3 weeks. No breaks, no weekends, 3 weeks straight. So finally, the third thing I would say is it's like even hard to come up with 3 things for this because it's such an easy school, but this is one of the other courses that I went through over the last 2 months or so, and I wanted to make a video about it. Don't put all your eggs into one basket of the grading scale, meaning you're typically graded on 2 different things, and that's your overall GPA for your scores that you got, and you're going to be graded on your personality traits and your leadership traits. I did well on the academic side, and I did really, really well on the leadership traits, but that won't get you commandant's list or anything. The actual leadership traits, even though this is something that I kind of disagree with, doesn't have any impact on where you place in the class. So I was told that I had one of the highest in the entire cycle. I had one of the highest character evaluations of the entire thing with my leadership traits and stuff. And I did get superior academic honors or whatever it's called. I placed in the top 40%. I think I was by the math and the scores and everything, I think I placed in the top 25%, but I just barely missed commandant's list because my academic scores weren't high enough. If they took everything into account, I would have gotten commandant's list, but that really doesn't matter that much anyways. That stuff really doesn't have any impact on your overall career. Maybe your unit might care about it, but nobody's looking to see if you got commandant's list at BLC to take into account of how good of a leader you are. The priority, I guess, is again those essays and your GPA, actually getting really good scores on everything. Your PRT and your drill and ceremony are also graded at they're worth a lot more points than a lot of your essays are, so take those seriously. Try to do really well. There's a lot of really tiny things that can dock you points really fast. So I had people tell me that they thought that my drill was perfect and I ended up getting an 85. And an 85, had I gotten a 95, I probably would have gotten commandant's list. That's how big of a point deduction that is over the whole scheme of things. So just really pay attention, really try to focus on your essays and your drill and your PRT stuff. Make sure you do really good at that, and that can set you up for success later on. I wish that they took the character evaluations into account, because there's a bunch of people that had no idea what they were doing when it comes to leading stuff or having leadership traits or team working abilities, and they would still get commandant's list because they did well on essays. And it was kind of funny, we had a big AAR. Some of the top scoring people from each classroom went into this big AAR with the school's master sergeant, and he was asking us all questions on what we thought went good, what we thought went bad. That was kind of a big complaint, was that all the few of us infantry guys that were in that AAR were just we're not going to be as good at writing essays as a lot of these other people, because we don't do that. Our focus is on the tactical side, but we can't perform in that as a leader because there is no tactical grades here. As a leader, and the creed of the non-commissioned officer says, I will strive to remain technically and tactically proficient, but that has just completely gone to the wayside. So you just need to embrace that. It is what it is, and just try and do as good as you can with what you got. But what I was going to say was, it's kind of funny that in that AAR, we had the Distinguished Honor Grad in there, and he was a total douche. He was a huge tool bag, and he even admitted in that class, well, yeah, all you guys should have been able to do fine. I was an English literature major in college, and I still found a way to work it, even though this was a different grading rubric than anything I did in college. And it's just kind of that's why you're a Distinguished Honor Grad. It's because you've written countless amounts of essays, and so you're better at it than everybody else in the course is. That's why you got Distinguished Honor Grad. Because clearly, just from the few interactions just from the few interactions that I had with him, it was like clear this guy's a very like selfish kind of mentality guy, and didn't really care about anybody else but himself. So his peer evaluations probably weren't as high, but he still got distinguished honor grad because he wrote essays really well. So just really pay attention to that. If you're really trying to do well, those are my big 3 tips for you. They're all kind of redundant and a little repetitive, but that's really it. It's hard for me to even give you 3 tips on how to do well at BLC because it's really just do your essays good and don't really worry about anything else, and just try to have a good time while you're there, and you should be smooth sailing. There's no reason for anybody to fail unless you are just like falling asleep in class, or you suck, or you lie. Like, there's no reason that you should have any problems passing it. So if you're on your way to BLC, good luck, have fun, and hopefully you get promoted soon. So have a good one, guys.